Hello, thanks for joining us on the news. I'm Ruth Aguele. My sign language interpreter is Precious Ozomina. We're streaming live on Vision TV 247 and other social media platforms displayed on the screen right now. Let's start with the headlines. Vice President Shatima inaugurates Smeden corporate headquarters as federal government makes good promise to grow micro, small and medium enterprises. Federal government slashes by 50% luxury bus transport fares and free train services for the Yuletide. Zambia faces worst anthrax epidemic in more than a decade. Federal government has announced 50% discount on luxury buses, transport fares and free train services on interstate travels during the Yuletide. Presidential Committee on Intervention on Public Transportation, led by the Minister of Solid Minerals Development, Dele Alake, announced this during a briefing at the State House. The intervention is to cushion the usual high cost of transportation during festivities, which will run from Thursday, 21st December 2023 to January 4th, 2024.
Recognition of the economic situation of the country, which the president is working hard to turn around. President Tinubu wants Nigerians to be able to travel within Nigeria to wherever they want to go to meet their loved ones without the extra burden of paying exorbitantly for interstate public transportation. It is in this wise that the president is announcing through us that beginning from tomorrow, that's the 21st of December, Nigerians willing to travel can board public transport via luxury buses at 50% discount of current cost, and all our train services on the routes the trains currently serve at zero cost to and fro on their travels this holiday season.
The intent of this program is to bring succor to the passengers traveling on the major route. So we are going to run 22 routes on the luxurious buses.
This is part of the measures that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu intends to be doing. It's not a one-off thing. And even though it is targeted at Christmas, the president will continue to review situations, especially national holidays like this, and see what kind of interventions can come going forward.
Two other issues. The Minister of Marine and Blue Economy, Adegboyega Oyetola, has said that access roads leading to the ports in Nigeria play a pivotal role in the efficiency of the ports. To this end, he has appealed to the Minister of Works, David Ubahi, to assist in undertaking an urgent comprehensive repair and maintenance program for all dilapidated roads leading to ports across the country. According to the minister, the dilapidated access roads are making importers and exporters experience high transportation cost, prolonged transit times, and heightened risk of accidents, adding that all these issues cumulatively impede national economic growth, discourage foreign investment, and hinder international trade competences. Oyetola, who said this during a visit to the ministry, listed 15 roads that require urgent attention. The roads cut across Lagos Port Complex, Tinkan Island Port, Calabar New Port, Delta Port, and One Port. Some of the access roads are 1.6 kilometers dual carriage road within the Lagos Port Complex, 3 kilometers Tinkan Island access road, 15.3 kilometers Eleme Junction, Trailer Park Junction, dual carriage way at One Port, and 3.1 kilometers Fleet Roundabout single carriageway also at One Port. The Works Minister appreciated Oyetola and commended him for taking the trouble to visit his office with the request. On legislative affairs, the House of Representatives has passed a resolution urging the Federal Ministry of Works to repair failed portions of the federal highways to make road travel easier for commuters during the Yuletide. Sequel to a matter of urgent public importance raised by Representative Ngozi Okoli, the House notes that road traffic will be on the increase as our airfares are skyrocketing, hence the need to ease the burden on road travelers.
Even all federal roads, especially this season of holidays, immediately commence repairs of the failed section of the roads, especially Iselugu-Asaba-Onitsha Express Road, or in the alternative, enter an agreement with state governments to fix the roads and be reimbursed in the near future. Mandate the House Committee on FEMA and the Committee on Legislative Compliance to ensure compliance.
The House also adopted a motion sponsored by Representative John Okafor calling for investigation of alleged loss of $60 billion revenue in NNPC Limited joint venture operations.
Mandate the Committees of Finance and Petroleum Resources upstream to conduct a comprehensive investigation on all the NNPCL joint venture operations to determine income and cash costs due to each partner, especially the Federation, that is the federal government of Nigeria, and whether due process and diligence were observed in the exercise.
Once upon a time, Peugeot and Volkswagen vehicle brands assembled in Nigeria were the pride of Nigerians and kings on Nigerian roads. Sadly, the narrative has changed, and now Nigeria spends billions of naira yearly on vehicle importation, leaving local manufacturers struggling to stay in business with the high cost of raw materials and production. Comfort Amodu reports that government is reinforcing policies and measures to shape the future of the automotive industry.
In 2016, Nigeria signed the Paris Accord on the mitigation of greenhouse gases, initiated the National Gas Expansion Program in 2022, and adopted a new National Automotive Industry Development Plan in May this year. Consequently, the industry has witnessed notable growth and development, propelled by improved consumer demand, government policies, and entry of new players into the market. Despite the growing number of locally manufactured vehicles, the importation of used vehicles components stands in the way of the sector fulfilling its obvious potential.
You appeal to the government to meet those who are coming in with the goods to us or to the consumer or to the finisher. Them are the ones that are supposed to stop them, not we. Because people here, some people are looking for how to make money.
To moderate the influx of used vehicles into the country, the National Automotive Design and Development Council, NADDC, is working with relevant agencies, including the Customs Service, to introduce an age limit for vehicles entry into the country beginning second quarter of 2024.
There's no way you can build the auto sector where you allow a 20-year-old vehicle to come into the country. That's not going to happen. Even the president is talking about clean environment. That's why we are talking about CNG, talking about EV. And for us to take a step toward that clean environment, the older the vehicle, the older the emission. If what you are producing now is 10% of the local demand, it means you have 90% to supply. You have that opportunity. Come and invest and be the one that will supply to bridge the gap.
Because if you are bringing in, fully built vehicles, there's no content that you can create. We need to implement policies that will compel industry operators, to delete parts and locally, produce our components. So we need to begin to adjust our policies, to see how we can effectively take advantage of what this industry promises.
The Automotive Council is also engaging key players on the implementation of the Nigerian Automotive Industry Development Plan 2023 to optimally develop the steel sector, spare parts market, and the petrochemical industry through 2033 to to set the stage for local manufacturing. In Abuja, Comfort Amodu, NTA News.
The commitment by the Tinubu administration to create jobs and the growth of the micro, small and medium enterprises has taken another step with the inauguration of the corporate headquarters of the Small and Medium Enterprises Development Agency of Nigeria, SMEDEN. Vice President Kashim Shettima at the inauguration said it is part of measures to create an organized, effective business sector that will support Nigeria's sustainable economic growth agenda. State House correspondent Abdurrahman Jibrila reports.
$39 million small businesses across Nigeria expected to benefit from this edifice. Initiating and articulating policy ideas for small and medium enterprises growth and development is crucial to national development.
These enterprises not only stand as the very bedrock of our society, but also reflect the direction the government is headed and the velocity with which we do so. This moment solidifies His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's assurance to protect our enterprises. It resonates deeply within our economic revitalization plan. President Tinubu's focus on job creation, capital accessibility, economic growth, and poverty eradication form the very skeleton of our strategy to reinvigorate the economy. And inevitably, this path demands tough decisions, yet once essential.
Promoting and facilitating development programs, instruments and support services to accelerate the development and modernization of micro, small and medium enterprises operations.
This is a fantastic edifice, and what they've done is that they have different clusters where SMEs can walk in for training and even get certified. So we're really impressed with what the DG and his team are doing.
A small business can walk into this complex today, access loans to get raw materials, go into our shared facilities, process their products, and warehouse the product, and almost immediately get the product to be distributed as a result of all the MOUs that have come together and we have aligned to ease the lives of small businesses in Nigeria.
The conditional grant scheme aimed at providing financial support to scale up businesses and the Industrial Development Center within the edifice. The launch of the garment industry with 135 sewing machines added to the inauguration aimed to help the growing competitive enterprises across the nation. In Abuja, Abraham Jibrila, NTA News.
And following that development, the disbursement of loans worth 75 billion naira to micro, small and medium enterprises and 30 million naira to nano businesses across the country, many believe is a promise kept by the federal government. Moplank Dako will tell us more.
$1 million naira is being disbursed to nano business owners in the FCT, with each receiving 50,000 naira under the conditional grant scheme to formalize and support their businesses. Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment says the program will be replicated in the 36 states of the country.
This scheme is designed to uplift our entrepreneurs, ensuring that they have the necessary resources to scale their businesses and contribute meaningfully to the nation's economic prosperity.
Beneficiaries say they are determined to keep producing despite the economic realities confronting the country.
I want to really appreciate federal government for the support of giving, especially we, people with disability. This is to show that our Nigeria has been coming to get to know that people with disability need support.
We need a lot more support from NAFDAC, getting our numbers out faster. Without numbers, without NAFDAC numbers, you can't really penetrate even the market here in Nigeria. That's something that would help SMEs a lot. The other one is power, infrastructure.
SMEDEN has provided innovation hubs within the complex where common facility centers are provided for furniture, garment making and plastic packaging towards improving the competitiveness of MSMEs. In Abuja, Muplang Dakok, NTA News.
Let's take a break. We're back. Please stay tuned. Stay tuned. President Bola Tinubu is a leader who is not static but moving with the times and listens to the plight of Nigerians. This is coming from the Minister of Information and National Orientation during an engagement with the management of the Voice of Nigeria. Salihu Kanara reports.
I challenge you, the Voice of Nigeria, and the Director General, the management and staff of the Voice of Nigeria, to ensure that this message of hope, this message of prosperity, this message about friendliness, about cooperation, all the positives about this country is taken out there so that people outside these shows will know what the new government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is all about.
Government renewed vigor towards economic prosperity and social harmony are some of the gains highlighted.
Repeatedly, the president has said, come and bring your dollar or pound or shilling or whatever to this country. You will be free to repatriate them back to wherever it came from. Nobody is going to hold any investor to ransom. You will not bring your money and your money cannot come out. There can never be a freer environment, a friendlier environment to invest in Nigeria at this time.
He challenged public broadcasters to maintain their lead in discharging their mandate of protecting the nation's integrity and promoting its prosperity.
You also know that the engagement that the government has had with the organized labor led to the president and the federal government approving 35,000 wage awards. Now, this is not a final wage award, and the federal government has encouraged states and the organized private sector to also take on this initiative.
We're in a very important moment in the history of our country, and we're very happy that the President and Commander-in-Chief has set the momentum, which you have consistently been carrying, not just in Nigeria, but also around the world.
Voice of Nigeria is broadcasting in 8 languages, 4 local and 4 international. In Abuja, Saliu Gwanara, NTA News.
The European Union on Wednesday agreed to an overhaul of its asylum laws that includes more border detention centers and speedier deportations, prompting migrant charities to slam the changes as dangerous and cruel. Justin Bem-Unyi reports.
EU governments, officials and members of parliament hailed the preliminary accord on the bloc's new pact on asylum and migration as historic, saying it updated procedures to handle growing irregular arrivals while maintaining respect for human rights. The legislative reform, reached after lengthy negotiations between EU member countries and EU lawmakers, has yet to be formally adopted by the European Council and European Parliament. Its adoption is expected to be done before June 2024, when EU elections will decide the next parliament. Nationalist parties with anti-immigrant stances are forecast to win more seats in the parliament, reflecting a harder stance among EU voters struggling with high cost of living. European Commission Chief Ursula von der Leyen welcomed the agreement on a fair and pragmatic approach to managing migration. Many EU countries, including France, Germany, and the Netherlands, also hailed the accord. Italy's Interior Minister called the agreed reform a great success, saying frontline countries like his no longer feel alone.
With the agreement, we are introducing a new and mandatory screening at all borders of all arrivals. In a second stage, all those unlikely to get asylum will have to go through mandatory, fast-tracked border procedures with streamlined procedures for dealing quickly with asylum claims and efficiently processing returns of those who have no legal reason to be under the European Union's protection.
However, Hungary, which objects to having to take in irregular migrants or pay countries that do so, rejected a deal, its foreign minister said. The EU reform includes faster vetting of irregular arrivals, creating border detention centers, accelerated deportation for rejected asylum applicants, and a solidarity mechanism to take pressure off southern countries experiencing big inflows. The overhaul, based on a Commission proposal put forward 3 years ago, keeps the existing principle under which the first EU country an asylum seeker enters is responsible for their case. Justin Bemunyi, NTA News.
The Democratic Republic of Congo is holding a general election with over 40 million voters registered to choose a new government. Incumbent President Felix Tshisekedi, opposition candidates Moise Katumbi and Martin Fayulu, and Nobel Peace Laureate Denis Mukwege are prominent among the 24 presidential candidates in the election. Reports say this could be the second peaceful power transfer in the country's history since independence from Belgium in June 1960. Voters are also electing 500 members of the National Assembly, members of 26 provincial assemblies and municipal councillors. The National Electoral Body designated 75,000 polling stations across the country. However, some people in the Rutshuru and Masisi territories in North Kivu province will not be able to vote due to violence, representing about 11% of voters. For the first time, Congolese in the diaspora will take part in the elections after authorities allowed voting from abroad. The National Electoral Body designated embassies in 5 countries for voting, including France, Belgium, South Africa, USA, and Canada. The African Development Bank has decided to withdraw all its international staff from Ethiopia with immediate effect. Reports say the office will remain open under an officer in charge. These measures will not affect nationally recruited staff from Ethiopia who will continue their work and remain in the full employment of the bank. The bank will assure them and their families of its duty of care. This decision follows the recent breach of diplomatic protocol and assault by Ethiopian security forces on 2 of the African Development Bank's international staff. Specifically, on the 31st of October 2023, 2 Addis Ababa-based staff were unlawfully arrested, physically assaulted, and detained for hours without charge or any official explanation. This was a gross violation of their personal diplomatic immunities, rights and privileges. Under the African Development Bank Group's host country agreement with the government of the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia. On learning of the incident, the bank's president, Dr. Akinwumi Adesina, immediately contacted the highest levels of authority in the Ethiopian government, following which AFDB's 2 staff members were released. The African Development Bank formally communicated with the government of Ethiopia through an official note verbal on 6 November, requesting a full and transparent investigation into the incident. Dr. Adesina also sent a high-level delegation of bank officials led by its senior vice president to Addis Ababa on 22nd November to engage with senior Ethiopian authorities on the matter and to meet with bank staff in the Ethiopian office in Addis Ababa. Zambia, already facing its worst anthrax epidemic in more than a decade, has recorded new deaths caused by cholera. Health authorities in the southern African country have reported 4 deaths from cholera in the capital, Lusaka, in 24 hours, bringing the number of victims of the infection to 64 for the entire country since the start of the year. Justin Bemunyi reports.
Zambia has reported more cholera deaths as it battles the bacterial disease that has coincided with the country's worst outbreak of anthrax in more than a decade. The country's National Public Health Institute says the disease has also infected more than 1,600 in Lusaka. Health Minister Silva Masebo said the government was distributing chlorine to purify water in areas affected by the epidemic and called on the population to observe strict hygiene measures. These new deaths come days after the WHO announced that the country was facing its worst anthrax outbreak since 2011. According to the WHO, since the start of the year, the anthrax has claimed 4 lives and 700 suspected cases in the country. The bacterium Bacillus anthracis, which survives for decades in the form of spores in land where animals which died of anthrax or carried the disease have been buried in the past, is transmissible to the disease. According to the WHO, 26 of the suspected cases in Zambia come from consumption of meat from the carcasses of 3 hippos. The organization warned of a high risk of the anthrax epidemic spreading to neighboring countries. Justin Bemunyi, NTA News.
Government and private organizations have been encouraged to be committed to duties, live by the principles of equity, fairness, and justice to secure lasting peace and development in all areas of human endeavor. This was part of speeches made at the 2023 Award Night ceremony organized by the Federal Character Commission held in Abuja. Francis Udojo will tell us about that.
It was a night to be remembered by dignitaries, heads of different organizations as well as staff of the Federal Character Commission who gathered to grace the auspicious occasion. The ceremony, different from the usual formal setting, was an event of appreciation and rewards to deserving groups and persons that have distinguished themselves in their responsibilities in line with the Federal Character Commission's principles and for their selfless services and commitment to professional practices.
I've been rated high. I put in my best in whatever I'm doing. I'm very eager to train more.
If you are motivated, you will be spurred to do more. The award is more of an appreciation of what we put in the commission, either this year or since we became commissioners.
We are a university that keeps to best practice. As a university at the Federal Capital Territory, we cannot afford to be cutting corners.
I got it last year and this year again.
The staff to be more diligent and adhere to FCC guiding principles.
It says with the opportunity to work hard.
Congratulations to the winners and participants of the second Federal Character Commission Award Night. I'm immensely proud of you to be part of this success story.
The award night is the second edition held by the Federal Character Commission. In Abuja, Francis Udojo, NTA News.
The reward for hard work is more work. And that's the news. Thanks for being a part of it. I'm Ruth Aguele. My sign language interpreter is Precious Ozomina.